Welcome to the Warning Track Power Hour. I am Dr. Andrew Scaff. He is Dr. Michael Worman, Esquire. On today's show, we'll be talking about the NFL's Week 14 and the Kansas City Chiefs likely into their playoff chances for the season. They still have a slim chance, but it's not looking very good. We'll also talk a little bit about baseball offseason news. And we'll also be talking about next week in the NFL, week 15, previewing that with our new locks of the week. Mike will begin today's show once again with the Kansas City Chiefs dropping yet another game, this time at home to another playoff contender in Houston Texans. Not a great game all around. A lot of drop passes, a lot of stalled drives, a couple interceptions, kind of a look of desperation at times, going for a fourth downs on their own side of the field, kind of late. Kind of maybe that was a big turning point in the game, but yeah, what was the biggest issue with the Chiefs this week?
Just that I think the drop passes, they just couldn't score enough. I think that was the problem. The defense played pretty well. Yeah, the fourth down decision when they were tied 10-10 going for it on fourth down when the defense was playing so well on their own 29 or 30-yard line or something like that. That was a little bit strange. But
With plenty of time left too, right?
plenty of time left. But they
Yeah,
should have gotten it, but it
another
was
drop.
another drop pass, yeah. So it wasn't the wrong decision, I guess necessarily. It was just a terrible execution. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rice had a couple of drops. Noah Gray had a couple of drops. Kelsey had a couple of drops. Kareem Hunt at least had one drop. It seemed like I think there were many as 10 drops at least. It seems like in this game. Mahomes threw a couple of interceptions that weren't dropped, but threw at least one that was dropped by Kelsey into the arms of an oncoming defender. Um,
Which wasn't the first time that had happened this season either, right? Because that
no,
happened in what was it, week one against
week two against
week two?
Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of the Tyreek Hill year when he had a couple of drop passes that became interceptions. Uh, or I guess you could say Kadarius Toney, that infamous game that he had against Detroit
Right.
um, week one a couple of years ago now. It, it
Yeah.
was it was just not good football being played, at least by the offense. But it also it kind of there were some bright spots. The defense played well, at least in the second half and most of the second half. Um, they only allowed 20 points. The Chiefs should have been able to score more than 20. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, the new left tackle, the third string left tackle, s05e43 played out, surprisingly well. There weren't a ton of sacks on Mahomes this game. He was able to have some time, and um, so the makeshift offensive line actually kind of held together. They were down three starters plus a backup because Wendy Morris got hurt. I think got hurt the first play of the game.
Very first play, first offensive
Yeah,
play of the game.
and so yeah, they were. Yeah, so that was a good sign, I think. I don't know if it'll continue that easily, but so yeah, there were some positives. Butker missed another kick, which I think affected things. The doink
Yeah.
off right upright. Again, he's one of the highest paid kickers in the league, and he is, I believe, has the most misses of any kicker that hasn't been cut from their team this year.
Oh wow.
I
Yeah.
think he's tied for the most misses, but everybody else who has at least eight misses has been let go from their roster this year.
Wow.
Butker has missed four field goals and four extra points this season. So
Well, that's not great.
no, especially when he's making quite a bit of money, at least for kicker money.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think yeah, and given his outspoken political stances, maybe there are some people rooting against him, or I guess there are some
Yeah.
people rooting for him as well. Uh, but yeah, he's a bit of a lightning rod, and you want your kicker to be a little bit more quiet, I think, and then also make more kicks. If he were if you were making more kicks, his brash, outspoken nature wouldn't be as bad, I guess. But um,
I don't know what the point of extending a kicker's contract is anyway. It seems like you could find somebody for less money, almost guaranteed, no matter where, no matter what time you're looking for a kicker. Like somebody's available that's decent
Yeah.
for less than paying a a non basically rookie contract,
Yeah,
right?
unless you have like Brandon Aubrey as your kicker, who can make
Basically from anywhere.
anywhere. Yeah. Do you know Aubrey? He is 30 years old.
No,
He's
no
only
idea.
kicked like two. He's only kicked like 2 or 3 years now, but he's 30. He played college soccer at Notre Dame, and then played soccer in uh the minors, and then just decided to become a place kicker.
Yeah.
He didn't actually play college football.
Oh yeah, looks like he's doing all right. I pulled up the kicker stats just because I was curious about
Hmm.
yeah what Butker's numbers would look like for the season, and yeah, they're not all that impressive. Four missed four extra points of his eight misses.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aubrey's 9 of 11 from 50 plus this season, 38 of 39 from extra points.
Yes, he's been pretty good.
Yeah, so he's only missed two kicks and they were both over 50 yards. So like they're situations that you probably wouldn't necessarily expect him to make it, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll take it if he does, but you don't fully expect him to make it, right?
Hmm. He has made 6 field goals of his career of more than 60 yards in his
Yeah.
career. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, he's been pretty
that's
good.
crazy. Not bad.
But
Not
yeah,
too bad.
but yeah, like you said, kicker can come from anywhere. Uh, and, I think he kind of proves that. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm blurry here, trying to unblur myself.
No, you must remain blurred.
There we go. I guess if you're listening to the podcast, it might not sound blurry, but I look a little bit blurry on the YouTube screen. But now I'm no longer blurred. I'm coming
Back
in
to
fairly crisply.
HD quality,
Yeah,
clearness.
at least a 480p quality. I don't know how much. I should this is supposed to be an HD camera, but it's not as I don't think it's quite as crisp as the one you have. This might only be
Yeah,
yours might be a 4K. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure what it is either. Yeah,
I am in the process of getting a new computer, very likely, so I might get a
yeah.
uh, but
New cameras. Yeah.
camera with it.
Nice. Very cool.
We'll see. We'll see. Um, so anyway, kickers can come from anywhere. And yeah, it seems like extending Butker. I think you criticized the Butker extension way back when it was made. So
Yeah.
I think the Chiefs are going to be stuck
It's
with him
just
at least for a couple of years because I think it's going to be prohibitive to get rid of him with dead cap money at this
yeah. It's just unnecessary, I think, to add to pay a kicker extra money, basically, like because you can find guys somewhere. And if they falter, you just get rid of them and find something
Yeah.
else. Usually what happens. So it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't. I just don't see the point of especially on for a team that's trying to contend every year, every dollar matters. It seems like that's like the last place that you should be spending extra money is at that position because it's available. I don't know. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to criticize the Chiefs' decisions on contracts because they've done a pretty good job keeping people together. But although this season has not gone very well, I don't know that that's the I don't think I would put that at the GM's feet though. Would you at this point of the year?
I think the Chiefs are tired, it seems like. I think they've played so many games over the course of the past several years. They've played at least an extra full season that other teams haven't, without too much of a break. I think they've had a
No.
lot of mental. kind of fatigue as well. They've played a lot of close games. They've played a lot of games that are do or die type games. And now they're playing the same type of games this year, and they're losing those games fairly repeatedly. I think they're just tired. I think some of it's coaching. I think Andy Reid's offense has gotten a bit stale. I think they need to, I don't know. It seems like they aren't maximizing Mahomes's potential. And Mahomes hasn't played perfectly well, but he's played pretty well in a lot of games and they've lost. It doesn't really seem to matter if he plays a good game or a bad game, they still lose, which is a little bit unusual for a team with Mahomes as quarterback. So,
Right.
he played really well against Dallas and they lost, and then he didn't have a great game here, but a lot of it was drops from his own teammates, and it was just a you can't. I think they count on him to do too much sometimes, and it's you know, yeah, they don't have the talent at they don't have the talent at running back right now that a lot of teams do. They don't seem to have. I don't know. The receivers seem to be okay, but not. They can vanish. It seems like at times the tight ends are not as strong as they were. Kelsey is has glimpses of who he once was, I think, but he also has long stretches of not playing terribly well. Like last night or Sunday night, he didn't play terribly well. He's getting up there in age, so it's the defense has
When you see him coming off the field on third down sometimes too, which we're not used to seeing that as Chiefs fans.
yeah, and the defense. I thought they lost Trent McDuffie to injury, which was a big loss.
Yeah.
And they still play pretty well. And Noel Williams is looking like a good really good draft pick as a backup right now. So I don't know. There's the Chiefs. They have so many problems right now. I think also we might blame your favorite punching bag, Matt Nagy, as offensive coordinator. He's not the
There.
best offensive guru as. Can you hear that sound?
Mm-mm. I did not notice anything.
Okay.
No, what's
My
going on?
I have some pipes that are making a noise
Ah,
in my
I thought
dishwasher.
maybe it was like that time where there was the bee or whatever that was in the house. It
There was a bee that one time. Yeah, it almost got me, but
was pretty funny
yeah,
because you could even see it too on the video, which is impressive. Yeah,
yeah.
that time. But no, I didn't notice any of the sound.
Okay, you can't hear it. You can't hear like a high pitched sound or a drone.
No.
That's mine's going. It's still going because my dishwasher is loading, and my pipes are making a. They have like air in the pipes, and it's making a
Oh
noise
yeah.
right now. And I haven't been able
Oh,
to get rid of that noise in the pipes, and I'm not sure what to
it's
do.
probably just annoying for you, and you won't annoy our viewers or listeners
I hope not. I hope not.
in
It is
theory.
in theory. Um,
Maybe only fewer of the listeners who are under a certain age that have their full range of hearing still. Maybe I'm not the best judge at this point in my
yeah.
life.
Well, fortunately, it's stopped now, so
No,
that was yeah. But
no.
um, yeah. So, but the Chiefs, I seem like have stopped playing at a high level now. It's coupled with the Chargers' overtime victory against Philadelphia last night. So we're filming this on Tuesday. We released this on Thursday. So Monday Night Football, the Chargers ended up winning in overtime over Philadelphia. The Chiefs, when they lost their game, when they lost the game to Houston, they had a 16% chance of making the playoffs. Now it's down to 11% because of the Chargers' victory. They needed the Chargers to kind of either tank it. They also need the Colts to keep doing poorly, which I think may be something that will happen because of the Colts quarterback woes. Daniel Jones not only had a broken fibula, but then he also tore his Achilles on the other leg um, at the end of during the game against in Jacksonville last week. Maybe before start talking about those games, we should discuss our locks of the week. Uh,
We'll
we
actually be talking about all three of those games you just mentioned in our lock. So we
yeah.
had we picked eventful games that we maybe didn't know they were going to be that eventful though.
Yeah, our locks of the week actually went fairly okay, much better than our at least together they went fairly okay.
They went neutrally at least. Yeah.
Yeah, they went much better than our big board bets, which were awful, positively awful. I lost more than $1,400 this week. You lost almost $1,100 this week. So we both were terrible on the big board. Um, on the smaller board, the locks of the week, at least I went 2-1, you went 1-2 for us to go 3-3 on the week. So our
Yeah.
detractors would only have been able to break even this time had they picked had they picked the opposite of us. Uh, but I'm actually, I think, on a 9-5-1 stretch my last 5 weeks. So I'm uh,
Oh yeah.
doing pretty well the last several weeks. It's been before that I had some I went 0-3 a couple times in a row for a while.
10-4-1 is what I have you at in the last 5
I'm
weeks.
10-4-1. Okay, even
Yeah.
better. So 10-4-1 my last
Yeah, you're right.
5 weeks.
Well, it's been a big shift in our competition with each other. I think I was up by one at that point before your current stretch, and now you're up three on me. So yeah, because of
Yeah,
your what 10-4-1 stretch
10
there.
more.
Yeah,
Well, one of my lone loss of the week happened to be the Chiefs game. I picked the Chiefs -3.5 against Houston. I thought they had to win that game. I was trying to egg them on into to winning, but they of course lost by 10, so they did not win by the 3.5 points necessary. They would have needed to win for me to cover. So the Chiefs lost 20-10. Um, Even if they had won, they would have just eked out a victory probably. Unless it had gone, it could have gone to overtime and they could have won by 6 or so, but it didn't
yeah,
happen. Um, so that was not a good bet by my part. The Chiefs didn't play well. They were shut out the first half. Then they came back and tied the game, and then they lost 20-10. Just wasn't a good game. We've talked about all the reasons. I don't really want to rehash.
yeah.
Uh, but
Well, your scenario for victory though would have been, if they got that fourth down from their own, was it 29-30 yard line,
yeah,
and then slowly marched the field using like the remainder of the time and got a touchdown.
yeah,
'Cause then they would have been up 17-10, I think, at that point, right?
yes,
And then, game over, you win the bet. The Chiefs are in good position for the playoffs. Uh, but no, none of that happened. And they did not get the fourth down, and then it was basically a disaster from there out. Although it wasn't great before that, but it was, you know, worst case scenario.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So lock of the week number one, not a lock. It was an unlock of the week. How about so you were 1-2 on the week. Should we talk
Mm,
about your losses first before we get to your win?
I think so. Yeah, I may do the next two just to get the losses out of the way then, and then we can just do wins to remain the remainder of
That sounds like
the
a good
day here.
plan.
My first pick of the week was on the Thursday night game. I had Dallas at +3 at Detroit. Uh, Dallas looked okay, I think, right at the beginning, but they had a couple of turnovers at the end of the first half, beginning of the second half, that gave Detroit much better position. Uh, Detroit ended up winning that game, putting a lot of points on the board. Was it 44-30 was the final? So Detroit did bounce back from their previous loss. Dallas, who had been playing pretty well, did not play so well. I needed Dallas just to cover the 3-point deficit. They did not, lost by 14. So I lost my first bet of this week. Yeah, three
Yeah, I thought
turnovers, a lot of yards, but a lot of turnovers, and that really hurt.
yeah, I thought Dallas would play a little better than what they did as well, but that was just not to be. And the Chiefs, it was a Thursday night game that ended up being a little bit unpredictable, even though, as we discussed before, it was a Thursday night game played by teams who had a full week of rest, which is unusual for a Thursday night game.
Right.
Um, but it still turned out, again, maybe home teams usually do better than road teams. I think maybe Detroit, Detroit was in danger of falling behind in the playoffs as well. Dallas needs to basically needed basically to win out to make the playoffs. Detroit is kind of fighting for their playoff lives, so it was a must-win
Yeah.
game for both teams. So, but Detroit at home got the better of Dallas this game. How about your second loss of the week?
The second loss was the in the Bears Packers game. Uh, and that game was pretty close midway through the fourth quarter. It was actually a tie game, 21-21, with 8 minutes to go. But let's see, I had the Bears at +6.5. They've been playing a lot of close games. This game ended up being a little bit close, but could have been closer. Not quite close enough. Uh, Packers ended up scoring a touchdown just outside the 2-minute warning. Bears ended up having a shot at tying it up, throwing an interception in the end zone inside a minute to go. So they did not cover that one either. They ended up losing by 7, 28-21. I needed them just to have one more point somewhere along there to only lose by 6. That would have been enough for me to get the victory there, but that did not happen. So
Yeah, the
I was,
spread
I was
ended up moving a little bit to just -7. So if you had
yeah,
waited to make the bet,
yes,
pushed at least. It was a
we
loss
could
by
have
seven.
gotten the
So
push. Didn't
we got a
happen.
push on the big board, but it was you had -6. It was a -6.5 spread when you made the bet, or +6.5 spread for Chicago. I thought
Right.
Chicago had a good chance of winning outright, if not
Yeah.
the whole thing. But yeah, Caleb Williams did that interception late that turned into victory for the Packers. If they had just lined up and kicked it to lose by 4, that would have been much better for
Right.
but trying to go for the victory, they ended up losing out um, as well. It was
If they went to overtime, I'd feel pretty confident about the result being within 6,
mhm.
but they did not. They didn't make it to overtime. So yeah, what I think it was just like an underthrown pass that got picked off in the end zone.
Yes.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do? So yeah, my 1 and 2 versus 2-1 comes down to like that one exact play,
Yeah.
right?
Speak,
Hinged on that play.
yeah. Well, speaking of the one exact play, this isn't one of our locks of the week, but one of the games where we each make different bets on. Denver against the Raiders was the Denver was favored by 7.5 points. They ended up winning by 7 points, and this was
Right.
because a last-second field goal by the Raiders made it only a 7-point deficit. But they kicked it as time expired. They didn't have any time to, get another touchdown or an onside kick, but they just kicked it as time expired, so they lost by 7. That also tripped the over in that game. Not only did they only lose by 7, but it actually went the over under was 40 and a half, and it went to 41 on that bet. So I simultaneously won my pick because I picked uh the Raiders at +7.5, but I also picked the under, so I both won and lost on that same kick. And you both lost and won on that same kick because you picked the Broncos by 7.5, and that became a loss for you. But then you won the over under on
Yeah.
that kick because it went up to 41 total. So it ended up being a net zero for both of us, but it kind of exemplifies
Right.
how close these games can be. Um,
There
we
were
we
there were a
both
couple like over unders that were in that realm, like where they were just like over by 1 point or just under by a couple.
yeah.
Like the New Orleans Tampa Bay was over by a field goal. And then there were other games that were like, over by like 30. It
Yeah,
was,
this is a heavy over week.
yeah. And bizarre week, lots of weird games. Uh but you had some success with some underdog picks, I think, this week, didn't you, Mike?
Yes, I did. I had my first pick that we had mentioned before was the Cincinnati. Wait, we didn't mention this. My first pick was Cincinnati +6 against Buffalo. That was ended up being a snow game, somewhat reminiscent of the playoff game a couple of years ago that Cincinnati won. And Cincinnati really started rolling over Buffalo at the beginning of the game. And then there were a couple of interceptions and miscues by the Bengals that allowed the Bills back into the game. Cincinnati ended up losing the game, uh, 39 to 34, but they only lost by 5 points. They were favored. They were a 6 point underdog, so I ended up getting that pick correct. I actually had picked Cincinnati to win outright in that game, and they should have won that outright. It seemed like, because I watched the game, Cincinnati was the better team most of the game. Josh Allen had some heroics at the end that kind of helped Buffalo, but Cincinnati, Joe Burrow had that pick six that was it looked a little like a bit like a Mahomes kind of mistake pick six to me. One of those by a really good player that you wonder how did they make that throw like
Yeah.
that right into um, the guy right in front of them. It looked a little Mahomesian, that Burrow pick.
Right. Really
So
similar to one that happened earlier this season. Yeah, for Mahomes. Yeah.
yeah, so
That one, I mean, that really hurt Cincinnati though. They were up 10, I think, when that happened, and then it was a
yeah,
yeah, immediate flip
it
the score.
deflated. But if you still, I won the bet because they only lost by five, so I won that one by 1 point against the spread. So I felt good about that.
Yeah, that'll
How,
do. That's all
how
you
about
need.
you?
That's all you need in that. You
That's all
don't
I
even
needed.
care if they win. You just yeah. On for
And
this
for
pick
my
anyway,
locks of
like
the week, yeah, for my locks, yeah,
I think we both did pick them. No, you picked them outright. I still had Buffalo on the money line, but or no, the other way. Wait, no. No, I had Buffalo on the money line that time, yeah.
because I had kind of thought that maybe Cincinnati could win all their games going away and sneak into the playoffs at 9-8, but that's not going to happen this year.
Yeah. Um, no, I think are they officially out now, or is it
I think there's
just
still like
like
a
a
2% chance of
fractional
winning the
percentage
division or
chance?
something.
No.
If they can win at 8 and 9 somehow, but if they have to win out and then hope Pittsburgh loses a bunch and hope I hope Baltimore loses some more games as well.
Yeah. Well, and then they have a game against each other here this weekend, I believe, too,
Yes,
right?
and I also made a bet on. We'll discuss.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was your win of the week? Your lock, Andrew?
My win was actually in that Monday night game, the Chargers and versus Philly, uh, in that overtime win for the Chargers that also ended with a late interception. But this time the Chargers ended up snagging that errant pass from Hurts to end the game in overtime after they'd already scored a field goal on their possession for the Chargers. So the Chargers ended up winning that one 22-19
Yeah, 22-19. Yeah.
in overtime. I had the Chargers at plus 2.5, so they didn't just cover; they actually won. So that was in I would say relatively comfortable, I guess, in that scenario. Not really, but they did
Yeah,
win, and
you had
in
Philadelphia scored
terms
a
of
touchdown.
covering, it was fine.
Yeah.
Going to overtime though, they basically have to win, or I guess tie,
Mhm.
still cover that spread, right? As a being the underdog, they didn't even necessarily have to win, but if they gave up points, they're probably going to lose the bet.
Unless it was a safety to take the lead.
Correct.
Um,
So, what, and that was another game that it ended up at a total of 41 points, and the over under was 42 and a half. So, like, there were, even though it went to overtime, they managed to keep it under the over, though, Mike. So, like, on the big board, you ended up with an extra pick there for being correct because of that, that overtime game staying under, even though they only had like one more point to give.
yeah, that was well. I at least I got one. I think I only got
Yeah.
3 out of 14 unders in this. And actually, it was the last two games, the Sunday night game and the Monday night game, both went under. I was only one for the first 12 contests, so it was the last two that actually made me a respectable 3 of 14.
Yeah.
So
Salvaging some wins for the week.
yeah,
Yeah.
I my but as I said, I was 2-1 on the locks of the week. I also picked my lock of the week. that turned out to be a really good bet was Jacksonville plus 1.5 against Indianapolis at home. Uh, and they ended up winning that game 39 to 19. They won by 20 outright. So not only did they cover, but they won easily. That game that Daniel Jones got hurt, and he got hurt so badly that the Colts now are signing former Charger and briefly former Colt Philip Rivers to the practice squad. He's been retired for 3, 4 years at this point.
I think they said he last played in 2020, I think. So,
Five
yeah,
years. So I think he's eligible for the
he's
Hall of
been
Fame.
out for 4 full seasons and then, yeah, plus most of the fifth, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Philip
Yeah.
Rivers, 44 uh, years old. Uh,
Yeah.
did you see?
44 with if he makes it onto the active roster, will he be the oldest player in the league then?
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, older than
I think that'd be
Rodgers. I
wild.
think is the oldest, right? Or it might be Mercedes Lewis also, who's playing for Denver for his 20th season. He's 41, I think, as well. But
Yeah.
um, but I saw an article that Philip Rivers instantly has odds as low as 15 to 1 for comeback player of the year already.
Yes.
So if he came back, he might make comeback player of the year. That would be crazy.
Did you have that on your preseason bet?
Like
Did you
preseason bingo
have that?
card, Philip Rivers makes his triumphant return to Indianapolis. I did not. No, but
That
that's
would
how
have been
bad.
impressive though if
Yeah,
you went to a sports book and said, "Give me $100 on Philip Rivers, comeback player of the year."
yeah. I don't know what I don't know what the odds they would give me. They'd probably give me 1,000 to 1, something like that, or
You'd
they'd just
think,
laugh me out and they wouldn't take it.
and they probably wouldn't just. Yeah, unlikely.
Unlikely. Well, um, yeah. So that those are our locks of the week. We ended up being 3-3 together. I was 2-1. You were 1-2. Um, yeah. So that's week. Anything else happened in week 14 that you want to talk about, Andrew, or should we move on to baseball and then talk about week 15 and leave week 14 in the dustbin of history?
Yeah, it was just another strange week though. There were a lot of like strange games and lots of high scoring games too. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that we really need to talk about. Seattle looks really good right now. They won pretty handily. But it was against a bad team, so I don't know how much you can really read into it because it was against Atlanta. The Rams bounced back; they looked pretty good this week. But we didn't expect that game to be close, but they managed to like beat Arizona pretty badly. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, for the most part, our big boards did not look very good. Uh,
Oh,
I think I had one more pick on the spread. You got one more pick on the money line, and even though I had gone a little heavier on the overs this week than you did, at least, and you're the all unders side of things, but I still only got five over unders correct. So it wasn't a good week for either of us. Yeah, we're both struggling quite a bit right now on the big board even too. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do here before the end of the year to try to make up some of this gap. But there's still time left. We still do the postseason.
mhm.
Maybe the Chiefs, if they're not playing in it, then we won't have biased picks that will drive us to make, picks that are homer type
Yeah,
picks. I don't know. Maybe we can still recover this, but it's not looking very great right now.
that's fairly grim. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it happens. I'm at least within striking distance of 500 on my locks of the week at this point.
Well,
So that's not so bad, but
yeah.
um, I have that to look forward to. You're a bit closer to breaking even on the big board than I am, but both of us are pretty far behind. We'd have to really have some outstanding weeks to even get close to breaking even. But um, yeah, so. Should we talk a little baseball?
Sure. Yeah, there were a couple of stories of interest, I think. One very briefly though, the Royals ended up moving up in their draft pick status for the 2026 draft. Mike, did you notice? Did you see that they will be getting the sixth pick
I saw that. I
this year?
believe they were slotted, or if things had the lottery had turned out according to their odds, they would have been the 13th pick. So six is much better than 13. So that's a solid pick. The White Sox actually got the first pick in the draft. They didn't do it last year after losing a record number of games last year. So they ended up getting the number one overall pick this year. So former Royal Chris Getz, who is the GM of the Astros, will have the first pick in the new draft. Um,
That's right.
the New Year draft. The draft of next year, I guess not New Year's draft, is be the July amateur. Is it July or it's in
It used to
July
be the
now?
June draft, but now it's in July, I think. Yeah, but somewhere around the All-Star game break, I think is when they're doing it now for some reason. Uh, but one other story of note, Mike, from Major League Baseball, the Contemporary Era Veterans Committee did select one player who has fallen off the Hall of Fame ballot to be added to the Hall of Fame now. Jeff Kent will be a Hall of Famer. Mike, are you happy to see that Jeff Kent, the I believe the second baseman, home run record holder, will be in the Hall of Fame next year?
Is he in the Hall of Fame, or did he just get nominated to?
I think they've selected him, so he will be added to the Hall of Fame when the next ceremony. So it's like
Oh, yes, he was nominated. Yeah, Bonds and Clemens were left
contemporary
out.
era committee get they pick up to a couple of players. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yes, Jeff Kent was
12, I
nominated
think 12 or 14 ballots, I think something like that.
14 of
He
60, it
only
says.
needed nine. He only needed 9 votes. He got 12, so he had plenty to get in.
Yeah, I think Kent was one of the least popular players among his peers, like in terms of likability. I think everybody
Yeah.
liked Jeff Kent. I think he was not a likable player, is what I remember him being. Uh, it said that Jeff Kent's name got booed during the Hall of Fame announcement, so I'm not sure if that was because of, of his dislike of Jeff Kent, or because people like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were not selected in that recent era. So yeah, you're right. I was thinking that Jeff Kent was just on the short list, but he actually got nominated. He
Hmm.
got selected by the Veterans Committee, or whatever they call themselves now, the
Yeah, Veterans Committee, but
era
it's like a contemporary
era
era,
contemporary era veterans.
particular like vote that happened anyway.
Yeah.
Some players that were close that did not get enough votes though. Carlos Delgado, 3 votes shy. Don
Hmm.
Mattingly and Dale Murphy were 6 votes shy. They only needed 12, so they only were halfway there. And then Bonds, Clemens, Sheffield, and Fernando Valenzuela both got fewer than 5 votes, which now they can't be on this. They can't be voted in through this mechanism for at least another 3 years. Mike, are you surprised or disappointed to see any of those names not being eligible for another
I,
couple of years at
I
least
guess I'm a
from
little
this?
surprised that if only one was nominated and that was Jeff Kent who made it. I think that's a little weird,
Yeah,
um, given the stars that did not make it. I guess Jeff Kent wasn't tainted as much by the steroids era, but it doesn't seem like he was necessarily clean either. So it just a little strange
well, he
that
would have
Jeff.
benefited by being on the same team with Bonds for a while, right? So like he
Yeah.
may have hit some extra home runs because Bonds was hitting in front of him in the lineup, right? So
Yeah, it says that Jeff Kent was a vocal opponent of steroids, so maybe that's what got him into.
maybe,
But he was very much a player that was not liked. I remember that by his teammates or by opposing players or fans. So, but I guess maybe he was anti-steroids enough that that's what got him in. He was a good player too, but
yeah,
um, it seems a little strange. I would have liked to see somebody like Dale Murphy or John Mattingly make it. I think both of them had
yeah.
really good careers, and they weren't in that steroid era. And I was moving
Right.
to, I think, Fernando Valenzuela. He had some really good early parts of his career. Um,
Yeah.
he died fairly recently, didn't he? Valenzuela, maybe last year or so. Um,
Mm,
he died October 2024, so
mm,
a little over a year ago now.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, he was only 63 years old. So,
Mm,
but I liked him. He was a
yeah.
fun guy to watch.
Well,
Um,
he yeah, had such an amazing start to his career too.
mm,
Everybody was paying attention to him,
yeah,
but that's not usually, players that have that kind of, you know, sweeping success and that early don't tend to have the longevity in their careers to, be Hall of Fame worthy. I suppose that is what happened with him too, I guess.
yeah.
Because I don't think, yeah, I don't think he had that long of a career though, did he?
He actually did. He played for 17 years. I
Oh,
saw.
no, I didn't.
I was just looking at his record. He played for the Dodgers from 1980 to 1990, and then really didn't do a whole lot. He pitched no hitter in 1990 for the Dodgers. Then played for the Angels, Orioles, Phillies, Padres, and Cardinals in 1997. So he um, finished his career in 1997 with the Cardinals.
Hmm.
So yeah, he did. I guess he had a year off in there too. He didn't pitch in 1992. I'm not sure what happened in 92, but
He played in Mexico, is what a baseball reference says.
okay. Yeah, he
But yeah, I
barely.
mean, it looks like he was an all-star from 81 to 86, and then no more all-star appearances after that.
Yeah,
But he was on the Dodgers still in 89 when that was the year they won the World Series, wasn't it? Or
88. Yeah,
88, 88, yeah. But yeah, he was still there then, but he didn't play very much of that year, it doesn't look like. Oh, well, he played a chunk of it. He just wasn't that effective, I guess. Yeah, but so Valenzuela would have been your pick from that for nostalgia purposes, maybe.
nostalgia purposes. Yeah, I would have probably done down Mattingly or Dale Murphy, one of those two. Maybe, or I actually would have gone Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens, because even though they were on steroids, they were still two of the best players of their
Yeah,
eras, despite the performance-enhancing drug allegations and um, likely correct allegations. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, I think that was it. That was all the baseball news that I had for you, Mike. So if you want to move on to the NFL for next week, we can, or we
yeah,
can.
let's move on. Let's move on. We
No,
do we will talk more about next week. We'll talk about the college football playoffs, which have been the 12 teams have been selected for the CFP playoffs, but those games won't be played until late next week. So we're gonna make our bets in next week's episode. So we'll talk a little more football, variety of football next week. We'll talk about the college football playoff as well, but we'll leave that till next time. But yeah, let's move on to week 15 of the NFL. In our preview of week 15, we have the Chiefs in another must-win game. Excuse me, against the Los Angeles Chargers. They're favored this game by 4.5 points over the Chargers. They've been favored by 3 or 3.5 points their last several games, and they've lost most of those games. Do you think the Chiefs can beat the Chargers at home? And right now they have 11% chance of making the playoffs. I think if they win that game, they're probably up to 20% or something like that chance of making the playoffs. Uh, what say you about the Chiefs Chargers matchup, Dr. Scaff?
I don't have a lot of faith in the Chiefs right now, but I'd like to hope that they can still put together a decent enough game. But yeah, it seems like even after losses, the Chiefs haven't really been bouncing back as much as you'd like to see them bounce back. So they I don't know. I just don't have any expectation for them. How about you? Do you think they're going to bounce back and have a big
I
win,
don't
or
know.
is it going
It's
to be
one of
another
those things.
struggle again?
I don't know. I think I'm sure they'll struggle, but they might win. They need to win. Maybe they'll have people feel like the pressure's off them and they'll just play well. It's just hard to predict. They
Yeah.
need to win this game pretty badly, but it also might just be too little, too late, whatever they do. So um, yeah, I can't predict anymore what goes on with the Chiefs. But I do hope that they will win next week's game. They're playing. It's a noon game at Arrowhead, a 1 o'clock start. So it's a maybe the Chiefs will get lost in the shuffle a little bit, so they won't be as much pressure on them, and also force the Chargers to play an early game, 10 a.m. West Coast game. So maybe it's a good. And Chargers also coming off a day less rest since they played Monday night. So yeah, maybe it's a good spot for the Chiefs, but I don't
And they had
know.
to play an extra period too, so maybe that could
Yeah,
play their hand a little bit. I think what and Herbert's dealing with a little bit of an
Herbert's a
injury
broken
too. He
hand in his left hand, so yeah, he's got that issue.
Yeah, I mean it's a his non-throwing hand, so it's maybe I mean it's definitely less burdensome, but doesn't mean that he's not playing differently because of it though too, right? Like
Yeah, it's still very
he's like
painful and handoffs and things like that. Receiving a
no,
snap is still hard to do, probably with a broken hand, a cast. So also ball security, probably when Herbert gets tackled, probably it's less easy for him to hold on to the football, so easier for him
yeah,
to fumble. So you hope the Chiefs can get after him, but they can't get after anybody. They don't. They have so few sacks this year. That's been a
yeah.
real problem for the defense. They don't have a pass rush um, to speak of. So yeah, I don't know. Do you think what's your? I believe you have a prediction in your locks of the week for this game, but I'm not sure if it's because you think this is going to happen or it's because you think you're Costanzing yourself, hoping that the game will turn out differently from how you picked it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. I think I'm going to be making all of my picks this week based on at least sort of like maybe getting something back from uh if the game doesn't go the way that I want it to go, at least I could win the pick or the other way. Maybe my pick will actually like encourage the other team to like perform better. So I'm going to be picking all of my games this week will be sort of Costanza effect. So yeah, my first pick, I'm actually going to pick against the Chiefs, Mike. It hurts
Ooh,
to do it, but I'm gonna pick against them in the hopes that I will lose my bet. I've already lost so many bets this year that I don't really care if I lose another one. So I want to lose this one, Mike. So I'm gonna take the Chargers at plus 4.5 at Kansas City as my
ooh.
first pick.
Yeah, and even the Chiefs win, you can still win the bet. Chiefs might only win by a field goal or something like that, so it's still it could be a positive bet. I don't, yeah, I'm gonna pick the Chiefs -4.5 just because I'm a homer and I will pick the Chiefs every game. That's been probably part of my downfall this season has been my Chiefs homeriness, but I don't know what to do otherwise. Uh,
And 2 weeks ago, I'd done a strategy similar to this, and I had actually won more than I had lost. So I'm going to go back to this. Last week I got away from it, so this week I'm going to go back.
okay, Chiefs or Chargers +4.5 is your first lock of the week. Um, My first lock of the week is going to be the Sunday night game. The Chiefs are playing, not the Chiefs, excuse me, the Chiefs' opponent on Thanksgiving, the Dallas Cowboys, are playing at home against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings were coming off an impressive 31-0 shutout of the Washington Commanders this past week, but I don't think they'll be able to win 2 games in a row. I think Dallas will bounce back from their loss at Detroit. They're at home. Dallas plays really, really well at home. They're only 5.5 point favorites over the JJ McCarthy led Minnesota Vikings. So I still think McCarthy's not a very good quarterback. So I think the Cowboys are going to roll this game. So they're only favored by 5.5. So Dallas -5.5 versus the Vikings. I like the Cowboys to win and win going away.
Cowboys do still have a apparently a 10% chance at the playoffs, so they are
So roughly
yeah
the Chiefs equivalent.
in the same position as the Chiefs. Yeah, yeah, it's like right around that for the Chiefs too, right?
And they're 11. Yeah, the Chiefs are 11 maybe.
Yeah.
How about your second lock of the week, sir?
My second pick of the week, I'm going. So the Chiefs have two other teams that they pretty much need to lose games or at least not play so well. No, they probably need them to lose. I think at least lose more games than they win as the season comes to an end. And those other teams are well, one's the Chargers they're facing this week. They need the Colts to drop some games, and they also need Houston to drop at least 2 games, I think, too. So I'm gonna the my next pick. I'm going to the Seattle Indianapolis game, where I do expect Seattle to win. This one, so I'm gonna be picking them at minus 13 and a half. Uh, but if the Colts somehow find a way to win, uh, then I'll be really shocked. But in this one, I think Seattle is going to win easily. So I'm not doing the opposite strategy, but actually just picking against the Colts in this one. So yes, Seattle minus 13 and a half. My sick pick.
Yeah, Seattle's playing really well this year. They blew out Atlanta. I think it was only 6-6 or something at halftime. So, but then they really pulled away in the second half. I think starting with the second half kickoff return, they had a touchdown. Rashid Shahi uh, got a touchdown for them on the return. I think former Saints wide receiver.
Yeah,
But yeah, Seattle's looking really good this year. They're maybe a Super Bowl contender with former Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold. Now that's their quarterback, and I wonder what the Vikings would be like with Sam Darnold playing another year for them. But that was so they had it looks like Seattle and the Rams are two of the top teams in the NFC right now. Um,
well, I think you like Darnold over McCarthy, didn't you?
I did, I did.
In Minnesota.
Even 2 years ago, I think I did liked him better. He was a higher pick than McCarthy ever was. He was a more he was a more seen as a can't miss prospect than McCarthy was
Yeah,
coming out of college. He was in line to be the number one pick overall. He ended up losing out to Baker Mayfield, but I think nobody would have been surprised had he been the number one pick overall. I think everybody would have been surprised if McCarthy had been the number one pick overall over Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels, or even Michael Penix, or the other players that got picked ahead of McCarthy, um, uh,
right.
Drake May, who's been really good this year too as well. Um, so yeah, I think Darnold was the guy to. He's still fairly young, Sam Darnold too. So he's only
Yeah,
28, 9. I think he's younger than Mayfield. Um, but yeah, it's just he just needed the right place to go to, and he got a change of scenery, and he ended up playing really, really well. So, um, yeah, so he's been a really solid quarterback. But yeah, yeah, I think Seattle's a good pick there, especially with I think who knows who the quarterback's going to be for Indianapolis next game. It might be Brett Rippon, or um, I don't think it's going to be Philip Rivers yet, but
unlikely.
but he
He
might
was
start
only
now.
signed to the practice squad, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything for the weekend because it is only Tuesday for us right now. So
Uh-huh.
a lot could happen in the next couple of days, right?
Yes, yes. Um,
But what their backup was maybe also injured, wasn't that right in the
Riley Leonard was
Minnesota?
injured in the
Yeah.
and Anthony Richardson still has that broken orbital bone, and so he's still
Okay.
out um, for at least a couple of weeks at least. I'm not sure how long, maybe the rest of the season. So yeah, I think that's a good pick to Seattle. I think it's probably going to be a line that gets bigger over the next week, at least more likely than get bigger than get smaller. So I think right now
Yeah.
they're minus 13 and a half might be a good pick. It might turn into 15 or 16 and a half by the end of the by the end of the week. Um,
That tends to be a lot bigger spread than you like to bet on. You
yeah,
tend to bet on the underdogs, but even in this case, it's probably hard to do that otherwise.
Yeah, I've all of my spreads are under 6. My biggest spread is the Dallas minus 5.5. My next two spreads are both 2.5 point spreads. My second pick is Cincinnati plus 2.5 at home against Baltimore. They won 2 weeks ago at Baltimore, and they also looked like they were going to win at Buffalo this week. So I think they can beat Buffalo. I think they can not only cover against Baltimore at home, but also win outright. Baltimore's kind of in a tailspin, a little bit like the Chiefs are 6-7. Um, they have a very slim chance of making the playoffs now. Or actually, they don't have a slim chance. They have kind of a mediocre chance of making the playoffs because the loss to Pittsburgh, I think, really hurt them. But Pittsburgh, if they lose some games, they can still drop out of the playoffs. But um, yeah, Baltimore hasn't been playing well. So if Cincinnati wins this game, which I think they can, that would really, really, really damage Baltimore's playoff hopes. So with Cincinnati plus 2.5, I think I will probably pick Cincinnati to win outright as well, since they're only 2.5 point underdogs. So, but yeah, since they won 2 weeks ago so handily, I think they have a good chance of winning again. So I'm taking the point. I like that they have some points. I would have, if it had been Cincinnati minus 2.5 against Baltimore, I don't know what I would have done, but I still would have thought about taking Cincinnati minus 2.5. So I really like Cincinnati plus 2.5.
Well, and this time it's at Cincinnati too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's at Cincinnati. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're still getting points, and it's a home game, and yeah, if you think they're going to win, then that's an easy pick, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and Baltimore had not played very well last week in their loss to Pittsburgh, so
No, they haven't played very well. I think Lamar still might be a little bit injured, uh, or have something wrong with him. So I think it's good. I think that's a solid. I think it's a solid pick, but we'll see what happens. If anything can happen on these um in these games. How about your next lock of the week, Dr. Scaff?
especially with like division rival games too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, my last pick, I'm going to the Houston Arizona game. Houston's been kind of on a roll recently. They just beat the Chiefs by 10. This week they get Arizona, but it's in Houston. So this the Houston's favored by 9.5. They can beat the Chiefs by 10. You think that they'd be able to beat Arizona by more than that even, with this, sort of transitive property that doesn't really apply to sports or week to week in the NFL. But Arizona is coming off a big loss last week to the Rams. Houston's coming off a big win, so I think this seems like Houston should win, and I would think that they'd be able to cover this spread. So it's a Houston minus 9.5. My third pick.
Yeah, it's a big spread. But yeah, Kyler Murray's not playing anymore for the Cardinals. I think it's Brissett is going to start the rest of the year for Arizona. So backup quarterback. I don't think that's a bad. The question is, does Houston score enough points to cover the spread? I think Houston's going to win that game. But yeah, I don't think that's a terrible pick. It's hard. Again, it could be a great pick. It's hard to know what's going to happen from week to week in this league. So I don't mind that pick at all. It's not my block of the week, but I think it could be a winner for you. My third lock of the
Brissett
week.
did play last week though, in that big loss for the Rams, so it
Yeah,
wasn't. Yeah, they're not like bouncing back and forth between quarterbacks. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, my third lock of the week is also an NFC is an NFC South matchup, another divisional game. I have two divisional games and two NFC games that I'm betting on. My I have Carolina minus 2.5 at New Orleans. Carolina is actually leading their division right now, tied with Tampa Bay at the 7-6 record, but I think they have the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay right now. Uh, and they're playing at New Orleans. New Orleans won last week uh, against Tampa Bay, but on the road. But I think that's maybe more of a signal of Tampa Bay's decline rather than New Orleans' rise. Carolina has coming off their bye. I think they have a really good shot of I think they're going to win outright. So I think 2.5 points isn't too much. I like the 2.5. If it had been 3.5, maybe it would have been a little more leery of making that pick. But 2.5, if they win by a field goal, I get to they win and cover. So I like Carolina minus 2.5 at New Orleans. The pocket passer of Bryce Young has been playing pretty well this season, and they have their defense has been playing well. So I think it's just they've been a solid team lately. It's a little strange, but Dave Canales has had the team playing pretty well. So, but yeah, they're 7-6 on the year. Um, Carolina minus 2.5 at New Orleans.
New Orleans is just coming off of a win, though. Does that worry you that maybe Tyler Shuck is coming into his own?
No. Short answer, no. Um, I still think Spencer Rattler is a better quarterback than Tyler Shuck. I would go with Rattler over Shuck most of these games, but um, they're doing what they're doing. I don't know. I'm sure Kellen Moore knows more about quarterbacking and quarterback play than I do, but still, I am kind of judging them by what their once ceilings were. And if I go back to the Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy analysis, uh, at one point Spencer Rattler was a Heisman Trophy uh, favorite and seen as a first round can't miss prospect before he was replaced by Caleb Williams in Oklahoma. So I still think I don't think Shuck was ever ranked that high. So I don't think his ceiling was ever quite as high as Rattler's was. So I think if they can both be if their top potential can be harnessed, I think Rattler is a better player. Just much like I thought that Darnold was a better player than McCarthy. So that's my logic behind the Shuck Rattler debate. But um, even if Rattler was playing, I still think Carolina minus 2.5 would be a good bet. So I'm going to go with the Saints losing by at least a field goal to the Panthers.
Well, the Saints are probably in a position too, like where it's probably better off if they don't win any more games because they're
Yeah,
probably playing for draft picks too, right? So,
yeah.
uh,
Carolina's playing for playoff position, and yeah, New Orleans should be playing for trying to get the number one overall draft pick. And especially this year, because if you think your young quarterbacks might be okay, this year's not really a quarterback heavy draft, so you might be able to get some other position player of need.
yeah, because I think there are a couple teams that let's see, Arizona, um, Cleveland, and the Jets are all at 3 wins with them. So if they do win another game, that they're maybe passing three other teams, they'd be picking at like 7 or 8 possibly,
Yeah,
rather than top 3 or 4 pick potentially, depending on how the rest of the year shakes out. You would think the teams in those positions would be almost trying to lose games, and that in New Orleans, the team that we kind of thought on paper was not
maybe the worst team.
set
Yeah,
to try to win, right?
yeah. We thought maybe they were the worst team in the league. I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. Any other games that you're interested in this week, Mike?
There are a couple decent games, a lot of kind of dud matchups, but the Buffalo New England game is probably the premier game this week.
New England
I
coming
think
off the
they have,
bye.
um, yeah, New England off the bye. Buffalo is actually favored by 1.5 points. That could be interesting. I also think the Detroit at the Rams could be interesting as well. They've had such a big rivalry the last couple of years because of the Jared Goff um, switch from the Rams to the Lions, and the Matt Stafford switch from the Lions to the Rams. Uh, that's been kind of they've been interesting to watch over these last few years. The Rams have made a Super Bowl and won one since the Goff Stafford trade, and the Lions have gotten close to a couple Super Bowls in the subsequent years too. So um, the Lions are also fighting for their playoff lives right now. So I could see the Lions eking out a victory against the Rams. I think they in that game, even though the Rams are favored by 5.5 at home. I do kind of like the Lions to make it interesting in that game. So I might go for the Lions not only to win on the spread spread, but maybe even on the money line. That's my upset of the week.
The Rams have been kind of up and down the last just couple of weeks, even. I think they lost a game 2 weeks ago and they looked terrible in that one, and then had I guess a get right sort of game against the Cardinals last week. So
Yeah.
both teams are kind of on their way, maybe looking like they're bouncing back quickly, but yeah, who knows? Sometimes that's really tough too, right? Two teams that look like they're playing pretty well facing each other.
Hmm.
It could just be a train wreck kind of game,
It could be.
which maybe that actually favors Detroit. So
Yeah.
they're very much a grind team, right? With a
Yeah.
multiple running backs that are good, different styles of running game, and they have an aerial attack too. So it's not like they're hurting anywhere. But greedy team.
Oh, another game that we could mention is the Green Bay at Denver matchup would be another big game. So there are some big games this week. Green Bay is actually favored against Denver by 2.5 points, which I think is a little unusual. Do you
Hmm.
think would you go Denver in this game or would you go Green Bay?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I just because of the way the line is set, you'd think you take Denver at home at plus with points because they're
Yeah.
maybe the number one seed potentially, right, in the AFC,
Yeah.
and yeah, it seems like a fairly easy pick, but I don't know that I like
Yeah,
it that much for
both of the contenders for the number one seed in the AFC are home underdogs this week. Uh,
Horizon.
New England 1.5 point underdogs and Denver 2.5 point underdogs. So it's an interesting week. Um, but yeah, some good games on the horizon. Uh, the Sunday and Monday night games aren't the best, but they aren't the worst either. Especially with Miami kind of coming back to sort of be a halfway decent team this year. 6-7, as the kids say, just like the Chiefs.
Right. That's the
6-7.
consolation for all the nation's school teachers is that at least some of these teams are 6-7. Yes.
6-7. 6-7, as they do. I don't understand what it means. Uh,
No, no one truly does, Mike. I don't think they do either, but it's become a fad and it's definitely lasting forever though, Mike.
it's
That's
gonna
what we
last
know
for.
for sure is that it will still be popular at least 1 year from now, right?
Yes, I'm sure it will be.
Yes.
Well, speaking of 6-7, our time is coming. Our time is coming to an end this week. Unlike 6-7, I suppose, which is going to last
Ah,
forever. Um,
right. There you go.
there we go. I figured it out towards the end there.
Yeah.
Um, but anything else we should talk about before we end this week's episode of the One Track Power Hour?
Yeah, we'll be back next week with new picks,
Back next week with new picks.
college
Back next
football
week,
picks.
college football picks. Week 15 in review. Week 16 uh, in the forward view in the windshield, I guess. We have one in the rearview mirror and one looking out the windshield. If that
Yes.
that's not really a good analogy, but we're really
Yeah.
I'm really falling off the rails here. The running off the rails here, not falling off the rails. I can't even get that analogy.
Even your analogies are falling off the rails, Mike, somehow. Falling
Yes,
off.
falling off the rails, falling off the wagon, I guess. You want to be on the wagon or off the wagon? I think you want to be on the wagon, but that's where the beer is.
Yes.
There's a Jerry Seinfeld bit about being on the wagon versus
Oh,
off the wagon. But anyway, we'll have all that stuff next week. We'll have the week 15 review, week 16 preview, college football playoff preview as well. Maybe a little baseball if something happens. We'll see what's going on with that. Any maybe some TV or media news. You we haven't I haven't been watching anything new recently. I've actually been watching the miniseries From the Earth to the Moon,
hmm.
the Tom Hanks produced miniseries from about 25 years ago now that talks about the Apollo missions. Um, so that's how current my viewing is. It's a 25-year-old show about something that happened 55 years ago.
I think they recently re-released the Apollo 13 movie, didn't they? That
Yeah,
like I think it was they put it back in the theaters even for it is like the 25th anniversary, isn't it, of the movie?
probably about that too. Yeah, Apollo
Like that?
13
Yeah.
came out in
Yeah, it must have been like
1995. It's the 30th anniversary of Apollo 13.
1930. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
There you go.
we have that to we have all that stuff to look forward to next week. Um, and so as always, I am Dr. Michael Wehrman. He is Dr. Andrew Scaff. We are the Morning Track Power Hour. Please like and or subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast is available on many different podcast delivery platforms, including the one you're using right now. Um, we thank you for your viewership, your listenership. We also wish you best of luck on your bets if you're making them this weekend, as long as your interests do not conflict with ours. We don't want you to keep making those opposite hate bets even though they've been doing really well for you. At least you can't see the big boards. You'd be really sweet. You'd be really racking up the wins on the big board if you could pick the opposite picks of all of us on
True.
the big board. But we're doing a little bit better on the spread
Great
as
picks.
of late. At least I am. Um, so we'll see
Yeah.
if
Well,
that trend can continue for both of us. And yeah, so next week is looking pretty good. We'll hope the Chiefs can somehow they're clinging to their playoff lives at this point. If they can somehow finish 10-7 from their 6-7 record, uh, the kids will be happy about that, I'm sure. So, from all of us here at the One Track Power Hour to all of you at home, we'll wish you a good day.